It's April 2025 and it's time for an everyday carry update. Now in my last video relating to this subject, I was carrying items that were only $20 or less. And I did that for about 2 months. And I'm going to talk about those findings along with what I'm carrying now and what I'm going to be carrying in the future. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the $20 EDC. Some cool things came out of that process. Number one, I picked up a number of other items throughout that 2-month period that were under $20 that I could try as well. And one of those was this knife. Now I actually reviewed this already, but I've been using it quite a bit. In fact, it was my only folding knife for about a month. And I gotta say, it's so good and so well done. It's just weird. This is the Guardian Eagle folder. It is in D2 blade steel. It is around $16 with micarta handles. Yes, it is only right hand capable, but it has a nice recessed screw clip. I mean, they've done so many things correct on this. Even the blade grind, the sharpening section is done well. They just nailed this knife, like completely. And I can highly recommend it for a sub $20 option. This would be a phenomenal gift item. It'd be a really good loaner knife. Just a really nice option. So this is what I carried, loved it, highly recommended. Definitely something I would carry again. Now, the wallet that we were using, which was the Field wallet from Right in the Rain, I've already carried that a bunch and I know it's good. It was good when I carried it. I didn't have any complaints whatsoever, but I do want to talk briefly about the pen. Now, I have the all metal version. This is actually also all metal that I tried, and I was trying to convince myself that, you know, this was better than I originally perceived because of the narrow barrel. I can say from experience that my initial impressions were correct. This is just not very comfortable to write with, at least for me personally. Now, some of you may disagree and prefer the narrow barrel. I just feel like the F701 with its really gnarly texture is just a better pen for me personally. It's less expensive. It has a wider variety of refills you can use. It's just the right pen. If we're talking about a sub $10 price point that isn't a disposable, I definitely think the F701 is the option. It's definitely the one I would carry again. There's also the F301 Compact, which is another thing that I would do given the choice. And these are like $3 or $4. So either way you're looking at it, I don't think the Parker Jotter was for me. Now, as far as the keys were concerned, I knew already that this setup would be useful. I didn't expect it to be as useful. I only used the tweezers twice in 2 months, but I used this thing a lot. And actually, I think I've used it so much that I started to round this corner a bit. I'm gonna have to take it to a grinder and sharpen that. But basically what I used it for is just opening a bunch of packages. And it was just such a convenience factor. I never really needed to pull out a knife to do that most of the time. And this was just super useful. Now, speaking of super useful, the fixed blade I carried was the Mini-Tac from Cold Steel. Now, these have gone up and down, under $20, above $20. It outperformed all my expectations. I can tell you that as far as an EDC fixed blade, it's one of the best I've ever used, and I would highly recommend getting the Bowie version of it, because what I ended up finding is that not only was it really useful for any food-related tasks because of the extra large blade, it also, and I literally stopped using the knives in the kitchen drawer and just used this exclusively, and I loved every minute of it. But the other thing that was great is the back of the blade, this curvature, I would use it like so, grip like so, and I would use it to cut open packages without getting tape on the actual blade. This is a really underappreciated aspect of knives in general. It's just the back of the blade. Whether it's for scraping things or for not marring up your cutting edge, it's just something to keep in mind. That being said, it didn't take me long to get frustrated with the options for carry without having a proper clip. So I have on this a DCC clip, which is discrete carry concepts. I ended up having to drill additional holes to get it to work. But once I did, this was an absolute joy to carry. I think you could have also made it into a scout carry if that's the type of option you want to go with. And of course it works as a neck knife, right? I also modified the sheath somewhat so that I had a full grip, easy to pull out, but it still maintained all of the tension. So I kind of nailed that. I maybe pulled off a little bit more material than I would have liked, but overall this blade was phenomenal and I can highly, highly recommend for less than $20. And the same thing is going to be true for the pairing of the Vtiger T1A. Some people were saying that they had it fail on them, but in my experience, it wasn't an issue. I dropped this out of my pocket a few times from a height of 3 or 4 feet, didn't cause any issues, still working great. And I think it only charged one time in the course of 2 months. I wasn't using it often, but when I did, it was like, you know, turn it on, turn it off, that kind of thing. It wasn't for longer than maybe a minute or two. There was a few times that I used it in the dark on its really low setting, but that usually means it's gonna last a really long time. So it was fine. It's not the perfect user interface, but I really liked the option of having the magnetic tail. It didn't come up, but I think it could, and that's a really nice thing. I used the reverse clip on my hat all the time. That's how I used it most of the time. So I would still say a great choice. Unfortunately, this flashlight has increased in price since we talked about it and is now over that $20 price. And there are better options in the sub $30 category. What has not increased in price, thankfully, is the Workpro Multitool that I carried. I found that I didn't have any issues with the straight blade, but anytime I wanted to use the serrated, this was still a little bit tight. It's still a little tight even now. I didn't even bother to loosen up the pivots, but I probably could have. But mostly I just use the pliers. If I'm gonna be real, I mostly use the pliers. I used the Phillips head screwdriver about 3 times. I used the scissor 2 or 3 times. And that was really about it. Not much else. I didn't use the diamond file. I didn't use the saw. Probably could have been a smaller tool and would have accomplished basically the same thing. But having access to things like a diamond file for deburring, there's just things I could use it for in theory. So having it on me was great. And I think for a $20 price, the spring-loaded pliers on this are just absolutely fantastic. And I can definitely recommend this again. Break from the budget series because there's some things I wanted to try. One of them was a knife designed by David C. Anderson. Now this is made in Italy by MKM. There are 2 different variations. I can't remember exactly what they're calling this, the sheep's foot design and then the full belly design. And I love them. They're some of my favorite fixed blades that I've tried in recent memory. They're compact, they're non-threatening, they're nice and small, they look good. The sheath is, well, it spoiled me because of just how easy it's been to use. It took about a week to get them to the point where they would slide out of the sheath without pulling the sheath off. But once they started doing that, it was so enjoyable to carry these. And it's so great in the pocket because these never damage anything. Just loving it. Everything about it. Now, I did end up carrying this only about 5% of the time with the sheep's foot because anything that I need to do draw cutting with, I'm probably pulling out the multi-tool to do, like any utility related tasks. But when it comes to food and that kind of thing, been using it a ton. In fact, I need to clean this again. This knife has been in my pocket for about a month. I love it. It reminds me so much of the feelings I had for the LT Wright. In fact, let me go get that knife. Yeah, it just reminded me a lot of my feelings behind the Mini Hunter from LT Wright. I just love it. Love the way it feels, love the way it performs, how it just acts in hand. It's not designed to be a tactical knife. It's not designed to be anything other than a good slicer that's enjoyable to use. and precise in the hand. That's what it feels like. It did a phenomenal job for me. So I would argue that it's kind of like the EDC equivalent of the LT Wright Mini Hunter. This is a belt knife, but still could be used for everyday carry, and I did for a little while. Love this thing. Can't say enough. MagnaCut blade steel. They've done a great job with the design. I think it's really funny that the magnet inside also kind of grabs the blade a little bit, so that as you're pulling it out, you can't accidentally like launch it until it's all the way out. It's kind of a weird side effect, but I kind of like it. And because of the tension over time, it's been easy enough for it to stay in the pocket without having to pull the whole thing out. I didn't have to get my thumb on there and push it off in order to keep the sheath in the pocket. And it's just been great. Not much more to say. Phenomenal. Everything about these are great. They're under $200. I would highly recommend getting the micarta version. In fact, I would just get this straight up. This one I like a little bit better. I think it's a little bit more versatile with that belly. And you could still do the draw cutting. You just have to tilt your hand up a little bit further, but that gives you more clearance anyway. Highly recommend checking these out. I know they're at Knife Center. I don't know if they're anywhere else, but definitely you're going to want to take a look at these from MKM. Really going to bore you with the rest. A lot of these things you've seen before. I went back to my comfort zone with so many other categories, whether it was sheaths, multi-tools, flashlights. I went back to the Pivot 2.0 from Keyport. This is my favorite key organizer, and it's also going to probably show up again when we do the $30 price point EDC, because it's, you know, less than 30 bucks. And I just love the modularity of it, the convenience factor, and I got all the stuff that I like, again, which includes the manager, my little glow fob so it's easier to find, and then of course I can hang it in my pocket with the keys facing down so they never flip out. This always goes in my left corner in my pocket when I'm using the sheath, and the right pocket is got the fixed blade. So that's usually my normal setup. This goes on my left hip, and that is comfort for me. That's what I'm happy with. Now the multi-tool, I've shown you the Leatherman arc that I modified a number of times. I have been varying that up, trying new things. This particular sheath can carry anything up to a Leatherman Surge, and I've even carried something as big as a dual force in here, so it's capable of carrying a lot of things. Just out of curiosity, since I'm here, I'm wondering if this fits. Yeah, not really. I mean, it technically fits it, but it kind of sticks out. I'm just curious about that. But you can see, this thing fits as something as big as the dual force if you really want to. Okay? So, I like this sheath. When I wear it, I don't even notice it's there. Until I need my multi-tool, it just kind of hides itself. This has been the most comfortable sheath I've ever worn. I know they're expensive, but you only have to buy it once. That's kind of my feeling with it. And because it has clips, I can take it on and off every day. I can move it from my right hip to my left hip, depending on where I want to position it. Yeah, it's all good. Now, there is one discovery, one product that's new to the EDC that may be the permanent change, and that is this flashlight. This is the Tac AA 2.0 from Acebeam, and it could very well be the best flashlight on the market today. I don't use that term lightly. In the past, I've used things like the Warrior Mini 3. This is an 18650 powered flashlight. It has a phenomenal UI. There's so much good about it, except that it is a proprietary charging system, and at this point is quite underpowered, even compared to this 14500 powered flashlight. This thing has a maximum output of 900 lumens, obviously less than 1700, but it has 31,000 candle power. That is almost twice as bright in that hotspot as the Warrior Mini 3, and this is a true tactical flashlight. Now that they have changed the mode set capability, I leave this in mode 5. It always comes in on turbo, it has no mode memory, and it is stupid, stupid bright. Like, it really is amazing how good this flashlight is. And coming in under $30 with a Type-C recharging 14500, like built in right there, I just don't see how anyone's beating this right now. I really don't. It just does so much, and it also has a mode that's low enough that can be used in the dark. It's not as versatile maybe as something like the H16, which is a right angle flashlight and can give you instant access to moonlight, but as a budget tactical flashlight, and it is actually a tactical flashlight as long as it's in mode 5 or 6, this thing is amazing, like so good. And in a month, I've used it a ton and only had to charge it one time. I'm very, very pleased. And it can also use a standard AA in a pinch. That's not something that most of these larger flashlights can do. It's not something that my Well tool can do. It's not something that the Warrior Mini 3 can do. It has all the makings of the perfect recommendable flashlight for me. And between this and the H16, I think Acebeam has locked up this part of the market. Just fantastic. And I do carry it on days when I'm not doing the full sheath, where I just have maybe this, and my keys, and of course my wallet. Now, speaking of my wallet, I haven't really been changing it up. I went back to my design with Lockbee. This is the Sidekick. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you this one because it is a prototype, which is exciting. But these are not coming, the future version of this is not coming out for at least 6 months, maybe a year. We're still working on it and continuing to improve it based on feedback, but they are currently available in their form that I'm still very happy with for around 30 bucks. This also has, and I'm gonna try not to show what's going on with the prototype. It also has a slot for a full-size pen. I guess we can grab one of the other wallets so you can see how it looks. This is the same thing, basically, minus the improvements. It has plenty of slots for cards and cash, your A7 notebook. It's got the whole shebang. And I mean, I designed it for myself. So of course, given the choice of what to carry, I'm gonna carry the thing that I designed for my personal use. I'm in the notebook every single day. And the other thing that has changed, I've given up the Aviator temporarily to test out this in preparation for the $30 challenge video. This is a uni Jetstream. Instead of having 3 different options, it has 4. So it has blue, black, red ink, and it also has a pencil. It also has the eraser tucked in under the cap, and it has a touch-sensitive plastic part of the cap, so you can use this if you want to touch a screen without actually touching it with your fingers. I like the screw-in metal design, and I think that it writes also quite a bit better than my Aviator B3. I think it absolutely has a better writing experience. Not much bigger, and it's phenomenal. So this has been my pen. I've loved every second of it. The only reason I haven't talked about it before, maybe I have, is that I lost it, and then I had to buy another one. But love these pens, super good. I don't think there's really anything else that's changed in my EDC. We're gonna be getting to that $30 challenge video soon. I just wanted to take a break and enjoy the things that I love the most. There you go, my everyday carry going into April 2025. Now, I certainly carry more than most when it comes to tools, but being able to help others is something that comes up regularly and I find so much joy in. So I will continue to sacrifice the weight in order to have that capability. As always, thank you guys for your time, and we'll talk again soon.